Welcome to another episode of Chat Sports Talk. As you know, my name's Chad. Take a dive on sports. And welcome to my NFL Week 10 recap video. We kind of go over the highs and lows of my picks of the last week and kind of recap some of the action that transpired. And trying to see if I return to somewhat glory I had previously. But before I dive into all that nonsense, if you could, go ahead and smash that thumbs up for me, especially if you like the content I provide you. It really pleases you two guys. Really help pump this channel out. You can also subscribe. A lot of you guys review my work. I love you all for doing that. Not many of you subscribe. It doesn't cost you a dime. Helps me provide more time value for you. All right. Last week I went 7-6. Like everything I did during that week of action, I was bad on everything. But that was pretty much that was the only thing I actually was somewhat of a winner. So I came this week. I was looking to improve in that, and I did slightly. I went 8-6. Nothing compared to what I was doing previously, and the past six through 8 was when it went 9 games. There's a lot of these games that teams decided not to show up, and things just kind of went awry for me. I started off pulling my hair out. I was like, here we go again. Then I was ecstatic when I won a bunch of games, and then I was going back down again. So I wasn't really enjoying my roller coaster ride. I don't enjoy those much anymore. Guess that happens as you get older. But anyways, let's go ahead and just dive into this and go into the last Thursday action in Charlotte, where the Carolina Panthers, I almost said Hurricanes, confusing my NHL and NFL, were hosting the Atlanta Falcons in a key NFC South divisional matchup, because every team in the NFC South has a chance, no matter your record. And Carolina has been punching above its weight class after firing their head coach, trading away McCaffrey, trading away another quarterback, benching Mayfield, going with P.J. Walker. And the Falcons is just one of these teams that just underperforms immensely. For them to lose as many games as they do, it's just something about this team that's just not jiving with them. I mean, they've coughed off many leads to lose games, which seems to be their MO anyways. And when they had their defense do step up, their offense is kind of lackluster. And that was what basically happened here. But Carolina, once again, was just performing well above their weight class. D'Onta Foreman was a featured running back for the Panthers, had 130 yards and a touchdown. There was a time frame where he actually admitted that he felt completely gassed because he's not used to being the number one option in the running game. So it's definitely something that Carolina's going to look at, try and get themselves another running back with one of those picks they picked up for McCaffrey. And Carolina was just frustrating Atlanta. I mean, Carolina's defense has shown fits of where they are spouts where they just disrupt the team, especially in conference play or divisional play. Excuse me. I mean, they did that with Tom Brady and the Bucs when they upset the Buccaneers. I mean, dominated the Buccaneers. Let's put it that way. They pretty much did the same thing with the Falcons, and it's just nothing that Atlanta could do that really do anything. I mean, Mariota was subpar, 19 of 30. I mean, he couldn't even get 200 yards passing. He did have 2 touchdowns, by the way, but they couldn't do anything else. Carolina was able to hold on, win 25-15 to start my week off with a loss. Then we head over to Deutschland, where the Buccaneers are playing host to the Seahawks, and the atmosphere there in Munich was unbelievable. The fans there was just enjoying a NFL game, making it a true experience for the players to play in front of this that electrifying crowd. It was an electrifying crowd at Munich. The Germans were just singing just John Denver songs. it's a weird experience. If you go over there and ever watch them play their Bundesliga or the Premier League or the Champions League, in any of those type of leagues over there, they are just fanatic when it comes to that, to anything on the pitch. And in fact, they're enjoying American football all the better. And then you have one of the best in the league, the GOAT, coming over there as your ambassador, who had another first in a long line of first and many accomplishments. He never won a game or never went to Germany to play. So he has that. Tampa Bay started off pretty quick. I mean, they were dominating Seattle most of the first half. They're up 14-0 at halftime. But caused of mistakes and errors happening. Brady throwing rare interceptions that helped set up a Seattle touchdown. Tried to do a Philly special and get intercepted, and then Brady just tripped the defender, did the old leg sweep like soccer players do, so they probably got a kick out of it. Geno was doing everything he possibly could, especially that fourth quarter where he ended up throwing 2 touchdowns. It just wasn't enough. They just ran out of gas, or not really ran out of gas. They just fell short. And the Bucs held on to win 21-16 to get away to 500 to take the lead in the NFC South. Like I said, the winner of this division will probably end up going in there with a losing record, hosting a winning record team, which I think is completely wrong and should get changed immediately. But it doesn't happen that often, so. But it's definitely one of those things you got to get rid of. I really think so. You need to reward the teams for winning their games. Winning your division gets you in, but winning games should make you a home team. That's just my opinion. We head to Chicago, where the Bears are playing host to the Lions, and I thought, here we go. Here's the Bears coming out party. This is the one that they're just going to click and just go move forward. Somebody forgot to tell it to the Bears defense. Early in the game, it was back and forth tennis, basically 10-10. But Justin Fields, once again, running on the ground, had 147 yards on the ground, plus 2 touchdowns. I mean, he was the focal point. He had all the touchdowns. He threw for 2, ran for 2. The offense ran through Justin Fields. The defense let them down immensely. Jared Goff and going 19 for 26, 236 yards, but only 1 touchdown. St. Brown had almost 120 yards receiving, no touchdowns. Detroit came back. In the fourth, the Chicago went up. It was like tied at 24 at the time frame. Chicago ended up scoring a touchdown, missed the extra point. So Detroit gets the ball back, marches down the field, scores a touchdown, kicks the extra point, makes it. Detroit leaves Chicago with a 31-30 victory, pretty much sealing the fate of any chances of the Bears' playoff hopes, which I didn't have any to begin with. I had them probably doing a lot better than what they are doing now, but when you start turning away your defensive players, things will look bad on defense, and that's something the Bears have to look at in the draft, is the line, both the offense and defense, linebacker, secondary, and then maybe another offensive weapon. But they have the cap room, so maybe they can entice someone to show up. But as I started off the week here, I went 3 losses in a row. Then things turned around. Then we had to Buffalo, where the Vikings came to town and played the Bills. And this one I went Minnesota because I didn't think Josh Allen was going to play. Josh Allen played. The Bills were dominating them in every aspect. They were up 24-10 at the half, but the Vikings just kept coming back. And the Vikings defense stepped up and made stops when they had to. Turning over Josh Allen when they needed to, and just kept bashing away, bashing away. Justin Jefferson had a fourth down catch for the ages. He reached back with his hand. His defender's right behind him, so his defender had two hands on the ball. He had a hand on the ball, so it was a three-handed catch. As they went down, he was able to wrestle the ball out of the defender's hand and tuck it in himself as it hit the ground, without it touching the ground. An amazing catch, a catch of the year. Iconic, like the helmet catch, the butt catch, the OBJ bent in half catch. I mean, it's up there as one of the greatest catches of all time. That kept the Vikings moving. The Bills had no answer for Jefferson, who almost had 200 yards receiving. Dalvin Cook had almost 120 yards rushing. Kirk Cousins had over 350 yards passing. The three-headed monster was alive and well for the Vikings in Buffalo. And the Bills' offense just stopped. They could only manage to get 3 points. Now, towards the end of the game, the Vikings were driving, and the Bills' defense finally showed up. They stopped them at the goal line. It was it's third and goal. They tried to make it, didn't make it. It was like fourth and go. Vikings are like, we have to score a touchdown. They got stopped. The Bills are like, great, we won this game. The next play, the next damn play, the Bills fumble the snap. Minnesota recovers in the end zone. Touchdown to take a 3-point lead. That's when Buffalo's able to march down the field, set up a game-winning field goal, send the game into overtime. You can't make this stuff up. I mean, this was entertaining football. Unfortunately, because where I live out, they cut out the overtime so they could transfer it to the other game, which really irked me. Thank you, NFL, and your stupid rules. So, Minnesota ate up most of the time in overtime. Ended up setting up had to settle for a field goal, which gave Buffalo a chance. They were driving. They were in field goal range to continue the overtime period, but they decided to just go for it. Josh Allen threw a dart into the end zone, straight to Peterson, and he ran it out, gave himself up back at the 10-yard line. That was it. The game over. Vikings escape Buffalo with their 33-30 victory, and just tore the heart out of the Bills fan and the faithful. And like, wait a minute, we're vulnerable. But hell of a game, nevertheless. That was definitely one of those games I really enjoyed watching. Then we had down to Music City, where the Broncos playing host to the Titans were playing host to the Broncos. My bad. And it was just subpar performances, really. Nothing to really kind of, strike up anything. I mean, Derrick Henry was pretty much ineffective in this game, back to what he was doing at the beginning of the year. Russell Wilson, 286 yards passing with a touchdown. 50% completion because he was 21-42, so they spent more time relying on the air than trying to establish the running attack. It was a 10-7 halftime Denver lead at half, but Westbrook Akeen ended up getting 2 touchdowns and almost 120 yards receiving as Tennessee just outmuscled Denver for a 17-10 victory. Put that number 1 seed kind of in challenge now. But Tennessee's starting to rack up some wins. Then we head out to Kansas City. We play host to Jacksonville. And Jacksonville, right off the gate, onside kick. I mean, when you're Jags, you got to pull out all the stops. I mean, no one would expect an onside kick, and it was an onside kick. The kicker recovered. I mean, that's just amazing. But you're taking on Patrick Mahomes. who had over 330 yards and 4 touchdowns. He was just picking targets here and there. Kirk was the best receiver for the Jags. He had 105 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jacksonville did make it some of a game overall. I mean, it was a 20-7 lead by Kansas City. But Jacksonville kept kind of entertaining. They kept themselves in the conversation a little bit. It wasn't a runaway for the Chiefs, but the Chiefs made sure they maintained their advantage and ended up winning 27-17 to retake the number 1 spot in the AFC, thanks to Minnesota. It makes things in the AFC a whole lot interesting. Then we head down to South Beach, where the Dolphins playing host to the Browns. This one I'm not really going to cover too much because I think this is just one of those games that everyone kind of expected. Tua Tagovailoa had 285 yards passing, 3 touchdowns. Wilson Jr., which is one of the trade acquisitions from the 49ers, he had 119 yards and a touchdown on the ground. The Dolphins, which is way too much for Cleveland, 39-17. And Miami continues to roll and makes that AFC East more interesting now that Miami has won and Buffalo has lost. Then we head out to New York, where the Giants playing host to the Texans. I said the Texans are going to make this close, just how these teams are built. I think these teams are very similar. They got similar style quarterbacks, similar style running backs. I think the receiving core might be a little bit better in Houston. But I think, it could go either way with that one. The defenses are about the same as well. So it's just who was not going to make the mistakes. Now, Mills does like to make mistakes, but he still had over 300 yards passing. I mean, he was just slinging the rock like it was no one business. Saquon Barkley led the charge in the running game with over 150 yards on the ground and a touchdown. In a game that kind of went back and forth, really. And the Giants were able to hold on the Texans 24-16 to continue their miraculous season right now. McAdoo should be nominated for Coach of the Year, way he turned around the G-men. And nothing against Lovie Smith, but you can't really go to a knife fight with a bunch of dull knives. And I think Houston's got some talent on that team, so maybe they can build around that. But, there's going to be some offseason works right there for Houston as well. Then we have to Pittsburgh, where the Steelers are playing host to the Saints. And it's just one of these games that you didn't know which team was going to show up. It was the Steelers have pieces in there that should make them pretty good. The defenses have been kind of a letdown. The Saints have pieces in there making them good, but their offense have been letting them down. This was a pretty good showing by the defenses, I would say. Kind of a bend don't break almost mentality, keeping the game low. Andy Dalton, who still slings the rock pretty well, but also throws a lot of picks. James Winston's another one, throws a lot of picks. It was 10-10 at the half. Kenny Pickett was actually a better quarterback, almost 200 yards passing, but no touchdowns. Najee Harris almost had 100 yards on the ground for the Steelers. Went away. And it was a late pick of Dalton that led to a Pickett touchdown as the Steelers ended up beating New Orleans 20-10. And giving me by 5th win of the early games. And I was like, oh, great, here we go. I have returned to glory. Then came the late afternoon games. We have to Vegas, where the Colts, led by Jeff Saturday, all the talk over this past week and how his hiring was an insult to coaches everywhere. I even said that. Nothing against him personally. I think he's very entertaining. He's a very knowledgeable individual, and I didn't think he had it in him. I think the Raiders needed this game to win, and they just can't get out of their own way. There's just something just not right in Vegas, and I think it starts with the coaching. The Raiders, have all this talent and they can't win. All the talent in the world on that team and they can't win. They can't be consistent. I mean, Indianapolis started off on them on 7-0. Saturday put Matt Ryan back in there, which he should because you paid him to be the starting quarterback. He had game plans. Guess what? Jeff Saturday came game plans. You know what his game plan was? Run the ball. He found ways and schemes to make it where Jonathan Taylor was going back to his old self. He almost had 150 yards on the ground, a touchdown. This is what the Colts have to rely on. It's Jonathan Taylor running the ball, make a defense is worried about him, which leads up to play action to let Matt Ryan then find open receivers. That's what the Colts have to do. That's the problem with Indianapolis right now. The offensive line is like some of the other teams in the league. In Vegas, I mean, Derek Carr and Davante Adams have rekindled their bromance. 126 yards and a touchdown. Carr and him having almost 250 yards total with 2 touchdowns. It was not enough. The Raiders' defense let them down as the Colts, on Jeff Saturday's coaching debut, beat the Raiders 25-20 to make Saturday an undefeated head coach. I mean, congrats to him. We'll see how it does. I mean, have you seen the what happened after the game in the locker room? Said everyone gets a ball. Everyone has balls. I thought that was kind of a wrong thing to say. Of course, my mind went that direction. And he's talking about like Victory Monday and like see you Wednesday, and that right there, he has the team. The team's his. The team loves him. They're behind him. They're like, wait a minute, this guy is just. He's here for us. He's going to see us to the end of this. Maybe this is the turnaround the Colts need. I don't know. But congrats to the Colts just Saturday on that win. And now we head up to, and giving me another loss. Now we head up to Lambeau Field, where the Cowboys and Packers went at it. And the early game, they're just going blow for blow. I mean, it's 14-14 and a half. Both teams couldn't stop the run, so they're running the ball a lot. And then the Cowboys end up getting, even got bigger lead in the third quarter, end up going 28-14, 14-point lead. But something changed in the offense. The Packers didn't change, no matter how much difference there was between the points. The Packers continued to run the ball. Something the Cowboys defense seemed to have a hard time trying to contain was the running attack. Green Bay kept running the ball. Dallas stopped. They went to the air. And this is where interceptions occurred. Where CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott were definitely on different pages on one play. CeeDee Lamb just kept running deep, and Dak threw it short. Ran to a safety. Turnovers were a huge aspect, as Aaron Jones had almost 140 yards on the ground for the Packers and a touchdown. CeeDee Lamb had 150 yards receiving for the Cowboys and two touchdowns. But, the Packers were able to come back, tie the game at 28 to send it into overtime. Once again, Dallas decided to go for a fourth down. Failed, which gave the ball back to Green Bay, who marched down the field, set up a game-winning field goal, and that was it. Green Bay came from behind, stopped their 5-game losing streak, beat the Cowboys 31-28. And there's people out there talking about it's Dak's fault. Nah. Dak does have a part to blame of it, yes. But Dak runs the plays that are called. Who calls the plays? Kellen Moore, the offensive coordinator. He changed the game plan for Dak. The Cowboys have a dynamic duo in running backs. Right now, Zeke's out. He's a little injured. He might be back next week. But you have Pollard, who's an excellent running back. Have him run the ball. If you run the damn ball, you win. That's it. You open it up, and then as teams concentrate on run, then CeeDee Lamb can find his way open, and you start hitting out there receivers. But every time Dak is in the position, they want to throw the ball more. I get it. You pay a lot of money for him. But you also want to win games. And changing the game plan, it ain't going to do it. That was on Kellen Moore, calling some, stupid plays. Why McCarthy didn't override him. Go, what the hell are you doing? We should be running the damn ball. Oh, no. No. But yeah, that Green Bay one, definitely one I did not see. Give me loss number 5. Then we have to L.A. with the Rams playing host to the Cardinals, and the amount of injuries on here is just ridiculous. Players were definitely, this was like a Band-Aid bowl almost. Kupp was out. Kyler Murray was out. It was just, McCoy was now the starter for the Cardinals, which is not a bad choice, by the way. He's actually a decent backup to have behind you. And A.J. Green made an appearance. He actually called a touchdown in the back of the corner of the end zone. DeAndre Hopkins almost had 100 yards receiving. The Cardinals went in there and dominated the Rams. I mean, that's the only way I could put it. They dominated the Rams, beat them 27-17. I think pretty much taking the Rams out of any playoff chances. Their playoff hopes. That window is just slowly, that light is just slowly shrinking in the corner, in the distance, and it's going away. But when I called, and up the coast to Santa Clara, where the 49ers play host to the Chargers. And this was another one that went back and forth, and it was just, the Chargers just couldn't put them away. I mean, the Chargers had them dead right. It was 16-10 at half. Wasn't much that the 49ers could do much, because Khalil Mack was a havoc. Find themselves in a lot of different positions and ways to be part of the game, like he used to do back in Chicago and then back with the Raiders when they were in Oakland. And Jimmy G couldn't really do much. Only 240 yards passing, no touchdowns. It was just a hard-fought matchup between on all aspects. It took a team effort for the 49ers. But that's all they needed. And their defense shut down. They had a hard time containing Bosa on that side. Unfortunately, the other Bosa for the Chargers couldn't play. So poor mama was sitting in the stands with a jersey of both his sons on there, because you had to root for both of them. I mean, of course you do. But one's not playing, you're harder for the one that's playing. I mean, that's just how it is. 49ers, it will be a threat to the Seahawks. That should give them a nice challenge in the season, as the 49ers end up coming back and beating the Chargers 22-16, 5-4 of the season, and should have a very fun game coming up with the Cardinals next week. And then Monday Night Football, where you had the undefeated Eagles taking on the Commanders. And the Commanders did something that no team's really done before. Pressure Jalen Hurts. Apparently, if you pressure Hurts, he sounds accurate, which is true pretty much of all quarterbacks. They shut down running lanes for him, which made it harder for him to escape, which, then he is forced to be more of a pocket passer. Even though they started out gunning early. I mean, the Eagles jumped up 14-7 at the first quarter, but after that, it was all Washington's defense as they clamped down. Heinicke is just one of these quarterbacks that is just very, very good at his role. There's a spark of life with him. McLaren had almost 130 yards receiving. They didn't have any touchdowns between those two because it was all, defense, special teams, running attack. And Robinson had a touchdown on the ground for the Commanders as Washington went up 20-14 at the half. They forced 4 turnovers on Philadelphia, which is really unheard of. Some things to kind of look at this game. The officiating on this game was atrocious. They were calling penalties that shouldn't have been penalties, and not calling penalties where there was penalties. There was a unnecessary roughness call, pretty much saying the guy was out of bounds. When contact was made, he was in bounds. Shouldn't have been called. There's a face mask where it was used to pull down the Eagles tight end. Not called. He ended up filling the ball, which led to another score. There's another one of late hit or unnecessary roughness. I think another one when Heinicke gave himself up, took a knee at the end of the game. You can see the defender tried to stop himself because he was sliding on his knees because he wasn't. That one is debatable. By rule definition, it was a penalty. But overall, kind of think, this one, he's a little. You can have gone 50-50 with that one, I think. I think I would have thrown the flag too. But there's definitely calls not being made that should be made, and other calls that weren't made that weren't. I mean, it was just a inconsistent referee crew in that game. But it shows the fact that you have to play the game. And it's just one of those weird aspects where Washington was then up. I mean, there's a drive that Philly was doing that they were in the fourth. And it's like, hey, we're going to make this. Watkins makes a catch, gets up because he wasn't touched, and then he calls up the fumble. That would probably set up a game-winning touchdown for the Eagles. And then this whole point here would be mute. But 72 Dolphins right now can breathe a sigh of relief because at the end of the game, Philadelphia was trying to do their own special. I mean, they had seconds left in the game. Trying to do laterals, but they're so far deep in their own end that make no sense. But anyways, making laterals, they got loose. Washington ended up scoring another touchdown in the game. It didn't really matter. Washington beat Philadelphia 32-21. Philadelphia's undefeated season, making 72 Dolphins the only team to have an undefeated season. And you can tell how emotional Ron Rivera was at the end of the game because he actually just recently lost his mother. Emotional win for Ron Rivera. You can tell he could not really speak. He couldn't hold back the tears. He had to leave so he wouldn't break down in front of his players because this is what this game meant to him. The team has an identity. It has a purpose. It believes in itself. It believes in Heinicke. It believes in Ron Rivera. Despite what's going on with the team outside with the ownership and lawsuits and all everything else and possible new now being sold, the team has a purpose. The team's going to be dangerous. They could get into the playoffs. The NFC East, the laughing stock of the league for the past couple seasons, could be right now, I think it's the best division in the league. Could have all their teams make the playoffs. And of course, gave me my 6th loss. Of course, not many people saw that one come. I knew Philadelphia was not going to go undefeated. I didn't think they'll lose to Washington at home. I thought it'd be one of the games against the Giants. Maybe get swept by the Giants. But there you go. that's the recap. I know it went a little bit longer than I really kind of wanted to because I kind of went a lot of sidetracks here and there, but it's just the amount of emotion played by some of these teams that just shows why we watch these games and just enjoy sometimes the camaraderie you have with players that come together for a joint identity, joint mission, and going, this is what we need to do, and just move forward from there. But just let me know down below what you think. What was your biggest surprise from this past weekend? Do you think the Bills are still the darlings of the AFC? Who do you think is coming out of the NFC now? Since Philadelphia lost, are they still the favorites, or is Minnesota now numero uno? And also let me know down below what you think about the International Series. Do you think we should continue, the NFL should continue that? What other countries would you like to see the NFL go to next? Leave all the comments down below. While you're there, make sure you hit that thumbs up once again. You can also share this video with friends and family. It helps promote this video out. Once you subscribe, make sure you hit that bell notification. Let you know next time I post any more content on my channel. And I will see you next time on Chat Sports Talk.